Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on. Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry oaf! I don't care what you smell!
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirium, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Shuttle Tydirium podcast. We are the mothership of Casual X-Wing. I am your comatose captain, Jim Chadwick, also known as Hey Chadwick on the forums. I have sitting next to me my co-pilot, Phil Mead. How's it going, Phil?
Good. Just I'm glad we got all those tauntauns loaded into the hold. I know some of the passengers have been complaining about the smell, but it's just one flight. We will not be giving any refunds, I have to say.
Well, there's that one that got too close to the exhaust engine, and I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Yeah, thanks, J-Bot.
Hey,
now we know what they smell like on the inside, too.
Hey, I'm just thinking of the safety of the ship. That's all that matters. Safety of the ship.
We do have J-Bot. He is our cranky protocol droid. How's it going, J-Bot?
It's doing pretty well.
Excellent. And in the back there, we have our chief engineer, Jake Freed.
That's right. I would like to apologize to all the passengers, of course, because I did have to delay the entire trip because apparently there was a tauntaun in the intake at turbine. So I'm still cleaning that out, but we'll be up and running very shortly.
But don't worry. To help make up for it, J-Bot will be coming around the aisles with free tauntaun nuggets.
Yes.
To help cheer you guys up.
They're very, very fresh.
All right, so I'm going to go into the captain's question, but I'm actually going to answer my question first. So my question is have you guys ever broken a bone? And we don't have to get too far into it. I'll just say that I've only broken one bone, but I've broken it in a really bad way. I fell 3 feet off a ladder, and I just finished my 6th ankle surgery. And I had a replacement ankle surgery, or they replaced my ankle, the metal one, last summer, and 0.8% of those don't work. So actually, I fall in that bracket, being such a special kid. And I actually got a whole nother replacement ankle this time. So I was in the back of the tank. And I do want to say thanks, guys, for taking things smooth. I've heard from other captains they might be doing some sort of ratty, getting in trouble, but you guys are your top crew, so I appreciate you guys just not doing anything rough.
That's how we do it here.
Everything's above board.
Everything is perfectly normal. Yep.
Right. So, Phil, how about you? Have you ever broken a bone before?
Just broken my own bone or like someone else's bone?
Well, I guess your own first. We'll start with that.
No, I haven't.
Have you broken somebody else's?
No.
All right. I don't want to ask that question to J-Bot, so.
Why? Why is there this suspicion?
You'll have to modify your question to, have you broken anyone's bones in the last hour?
What's your favorite?
Or non-Ewoks.
Do tauntauns count? Or?
All right, no. So, J-Bot, have you ever broken a bone before?
Knock on wood, I've been lucky enough not to. Played a lot of sports. I've had dislocations and things, but and a few head injuries, which might not come as a surprise to some people, but no actual broken bones. Although my mom has had like broken feet and stuff like that, and my brother had what sounds like the same issue you did like at least the ankle break, because he had to have pins and plates and all sorts of crazy stuff put into his, and his was like a 1 foot fall. He slipped on the stairs at the when it was icy outside. He slipped basically off his 1 step high porch, and it just landed bad on it, and refused to go to the doctor, as men are meant to do. I ain't going to the doctor. It's just purple. Who cares? And then,
well, when I was looking at my leg at a 90-degree angle from the bottom of my foot, seeing the side of my shoe, like you're not supposed to see the side of your shoe.
Yeah, that's probably a bad sign.
I was thinking between screams that this is not something right, and I should probably go to the hospital.
Yeah, it's I've been lucky, and I'll admit that like I said, dislocation. I've had a hand slammed in a car door that dislocated and didn't break. I've had all sorts of crazy things like that, but lucky more than anything else, I'd say.
I will say that technically I'm a cyborg now, because you have to have a machine, in you, and a lever is a simple machine, the most basic one, and I've got a metal ankle in my leg, which is a simple machine, which means I am a cyborg.
But you're still more man than machine, so... Man.
It's true. It's true.
Pretty soon I'll be having to wipe your memory as well as J-Bots.
That's what it sounds like. I
seem to recall that you might not have to.
There's a video game that has that storyline where anybody with cybernetics is basically shunned, and they're almost treated like
second-class citizens.
Second-class citizens. That's what I was trying to think of the term phrase, but yeah, like they're have to have passes and stuff to get around the city because they're not pure human.
Oh, I actually played the prequel to that last summer after my surgery. But all right, so before we get too spiraled down another rabbit hole, Jake, have you ever broken anything? Fingers stuck in machines? Anything?
Well, I mean, every time I try and work on J-Bot, I always end up breaking something because he's not an easy droid to work on. But in reality, I have never broken a bone. My brother once broke a bone playing baseball, and I was there with him, so that's the closest I've ever come to it. Obviously, I didn't break it, but he was a pitcher, and he was throwing the ball, and he threw it right down the middle of the plate. The person at bat hit it, and it was a line drive right to him, and he caught it with his hand. Bap! Got him out immediately, and then he threw the ball to second base and got the guy out at second. It was glorious, but he couldn't throw a pitch after that. Turned out that he had broken his hand when he caught the line drive.
Ouch.
So, yeah, I still cringe when I think about that. Like, ow, man, you should not have caught that with your bare hand.
Yeah, I was thinking if he was playing baseball, I must have been paying much attention because that's such a boring sport. That ball must have hit him when he wasn't looking. But
right,
it's been known to do that to people in the crowd. I'll tell you what.
Oh yes.
All right, so we've got a few things going on tonight, but it's been a while since we actually did a B team. And I would like to hear some of your guys' B teams. So I think it's time for the B team.
Watch it, you've got one on your tail. Yes, I can hold it.
No. All right, excellent. So I have not been able to game too much lately. Before my surgery, I was fine tweaking that TIE Punisher mission, which still needs more tweaking and various people not showing up, etc. So I don't have a lot of games besides that in lately. And Phil, I want to go to you first.
All right, so we've got a list that I'm looking forward to trying out here. I call it the Ugnaughts Revenge. This list...
I'm already in love with everything about the list, and I don't know anything about it, but I'm already in love with it.
So this is a K-Wing missile boat list. It's 3 K-Wings, I think Warden Squadron pilots, with long-range scanners, weapons engineer in the crew slot, homing missiles, and extra munitions. So the idea behind the list is...
I gotta ask, because I had to look up what an Ugnaught was. I thought I knew, but I just had to make sure. Those are those guys in Cloud City, the Bespin dudes.
Yeah, those are the big
that
dudes.
Are everywhere. They're like smart Ewoks.
On Bespin, yeah.
Very ugly smart Ewoks.
It's a little judgmental of you there, J-Bot, but you're right.
No, I'm right. They're ugly.
So the
how did
engineer
Ugnaught get into this?
The weapons engineer card.
Oh yeah, the picture of the Ugnaught. Okay.
Yeah. So no one ever uses them, so this is their revenge. So the idea behind the list is that a lot of lists these days only have between 2 and 3 ships in them, and with 3 K-wings, all with weapons engineer and infinite range target locks, you can get a target lock on pretty much everyone. 2/3 or the entire enemy list on the first turn. So that's how you solve the target lock problem for your homing missiles on a low pilot skill ship. Not only do you have just one ship that you've target locked at full range, but you actually have probably most of the enemy list. So after that point, your only concern is pointing your ship at one of them and having a focus token. It becomes a lot easier to fire off a missile or a torpedo. In this case, I'm using homing missiles for a couple of reasons. Number one, because
they rock.
Yeah, homing missiles are good. I feel like they're good value, especially with extra munitions, and they might be especially good value these days because a lot of ships that you run into will have a token stack that includes a focus token and a evade token. So if you can take the evade token out of the equation with your homing missile, which prevents the enemy from spending evade tokens while they're defending, that can help a lot. Also, you don't have to spend the target lock when you fire it, so you can hang on to it for your next shot,
or spend it
to modify. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so you do see a lot of, speaking of defenders, TIE defenders with the X7 title will give a lot of evade. So you do see, even if you don't see a lot of that, everybody probably is using TIE defenders all over the place, even in casual games.
Right. So this list matches up well against that. And the K-wings all have pretty good durability. They have 9 hit points, and they can take a few hits on the way in. And also, if one gets heavily damaged, you can sort of slam it out of the way, make the enemy chase it, and get shot by your other K-wings. And if they don't chase it, then you can bring it back in for another pot shot.
What's the PS skill of those guys?
It's 2. 2.
Okay. So, all right, yeah, you'll fire after everyone else as long as you're not fighting another Alpha Strike. Ship, you should be, or list, you should be all right.
Yeah, I think if you ran into a triple U-boat list with this, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many of those we see these days. I'm not sure.
How many missiles did you say you had again? Was it homing missile, then extra munitions?
One, yeah, that's right. So they have 2 shots per.
Excellent. I like that. I like that list a lot.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good, pretty potent.
I'd say the disadvantages are low pilot skill. So that hurts on lining up your angles, your firing arcs, and also you fire last, so you might miss some shots because ships get blown up. So you have to be careful with your arc coverage.
But one thing I like though is when you get 2 target locks on ships. You've got 2 potential people, so they want to skedaddle with one of them. What about the other?
They've got to get all their ships out of your way.
Right.
Makes it much harder for them. Theoretically, I still need to fly this, but I think it's
right.
Worth a try.
Cool. Ugnauht's Revenge. I like it.
Yep. Name alone had me sold. I'd pick it up. I'd pick it up and play it.
What do you think, J-Bot? You're more of a Rebel player.
I like it. It's interesting, and it's funny because My B team list also features K-Wings with pilot skill 2s.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Not.
Who could have imagined it?
Interesting.
I never really gave mine a name. Y'all
shame.
tend to give the names out more than mine. But it is similar in some ways, but it's more of a rear attack style list versus Phil's kind of forward-facing attack. So it's 2 pilot skill 2 K-Wings. They're identical in every way. They both have advanced slam, extra munitions, proximity mines, and TLTs. And I have a Dutch in a Y-wing with an ion turret as the third ship that's in it. And yeah, the basic idea here, Jim's probably played against this list. I know I've played it when the Wave first came out with the Ks, because I love the look of the K-wing ships. So I played it and basically tried out every bomb combination I could on the K-wing before finally settling on the proximities. And the two things,
thought your favorite were cluster mines.
No. Okay, so going through the iterations, I use cluster mines, obviously, as an option. And I got really good with this list. The general idea is, because they're pilot skill 2s, I get to move basically before you can react. Right. With the advanced slam and the certain types of bombs that you drop with an action, if you plan your moves correctly, you can essentially jump to just in front of them on your regular move, advanced slam over the top of your opponent, and then drop the bombs right on top. Yeah, drop the bombs right on top of them. So in one of the missions, while I was still kind of perfecting this, I used the cluster mines, cluster bombs, whichever it is, and had what I thought was the absolute perfect drop. Had 2 K-Wings essentially bank 3 across the face of my opponent, dropped all 6 in this kind of perfect slanted line across the front of my opponent's list. He, of course, kind of saw this coming, and so he decided to bank essentially the same direction, and his first ship got all 6 of the cluster bombs. 1 point of damage. That's all. The whole stack did 1 point of damage. He ate every single one of them.
That's 12 dice? That's 12 dice.
Well, this is what I tell people. If my dice could roll, I'd be a very dangerous opponent. But they can't, so most people don't have to worry
He's
about
dropped cluster mines like on my windshield, the ship, and like tunk tunk tunk, it bounces off.
Yeah,
it's just nothing.
But basically going through all these, through everything from the Connor nets to just the standard seismics and all sorts of crazy things, just trying different combinations. The proximities is what I fell on because it fits the theme of it. Instead of having to plan, I can really, in a sense, goad the opponent into a certain range, because I think the deceptive part about K-Wings is how fast they can move in a burst. It's one of those where, I think I'm just out of range. No, a K-Wing can essentially go 7 in a turn if it wants to because of the slam on a 3.
Yeah.
And that's a very huge move that you're not expecting from your average ship.
And still drop the bomb.
You still drop the bombs. Now, obviously, you can't shoot after you do that. But the idea is, hey, I don't need to worry about shooting for a turn because I've hopefully really done something bad to your list, and I'm behind you, so you're going to have a hard time to react to it. Dutch is more there as a trail to, in a sense, pick up the pieces with the ion cannon, because the idea is he's there. He's never going to be able to keep up with the Ks whenever they make their jump. He's going to essentially be left behind. But the Ks with that advanced slam, or just a slam in general, can actually turn around pretty quickly. With 2 hard 2s, they can do a full 180 pretty quickly and get back into the fight. And it really only normally takes a turn or 2 of a ship being ionized to just be taken completely out of it, and if it survives through the kind of blast.
And if Dutch could ionize them to run through one or 5 of those minefields, then...
Right. Yeah, and the optional essential, I can target lock and give one of my other guys a target lock, is a big help too with the TLTs. So it's an interesting list. It's actually been pretty effective when I've played it. It's obviously nowhere close to any of the crazy tournament level lists, but it's a fun kind of characterful, list that you have to had to be scared of, and it did pretty well. I fought the 3 Houndstooth, I think is what it was. Somebody was running 3
Oh yeah, that's a beast
list, and it was funny. I actually had a funny picture I posted, I think, on the Facebook in the early days of where I had gotten the maneuvering right with the K-Wings to get both of his hound's teeth stuck in a corner, where if one of them moved, the other one would go. Like, they basically locked each other and couldn't move. If one of them decided, hey, I'm just going to turn hard, the other one would have to go off the board. And I had gotten it down to where the final stroke was the little ship that the one spits out, whatever that one. The little headhunter. That was the only thing that's what killed me. I felt so bad because I had 1 health and had him stuck in the corner. Would sweep out just out of range 3, and then sweep back in and TLT, and then sweep right back out, and was just doing a circle of death around the outside of their range.
Oh, that's
basically in their blind spot, because they had this nice giant wedge of a blind spot, and after 3 or 4 turns, my opponent's like, all right, one of these guys has to die. I have to sacrifice somebody because you're just going to pick them apart for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But it has an obvious glaring weaknesses of there's no agility at all on this list. It can, for a heavy hitting list, anything with munitions, missiles, or forward facing kind of munitions like that can really tear it apart because it can't dodge at all. It just you hit it and it just takes everything.
It can shoot 360. Everything can shoot 360, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, everything can shoot 360, and I think people tend to forget about the K-Wing's inherent turret. So even the TLTs are nice. Just they kind of help average out my crappy dice, but there's more that could be done with the list if you're a better dice roller and don't want to sacrifice that many points for the TLTs, because they are expensive and they're not doing a ton. I mean, you could throw a headhunter in there for the price of both of those things as an example. So
now I did just come up with a name just on the fly that's pretty bad, but entertaining at least. And I think until somebody comes up with a better name, we should go ahead and call it. Are you ready?
Okay.
Dutch's Double Droppin' Deuces.
Okay.
So 2 PS2 bomb droppers. So Dutch's Double Droppin' Deuces.
How about Dutch drops 2 deuces?
Thanks, guys. Make my ship list look like a load of crap. I got it.
Or is it just even Dutch and the 2 deuces?
I like that list. I think that's cool. It sounds like a frustrating list to play against if you're not prepared for it.
It can be, and the fact that the extra munitions I always like, because it gives me a second pass. Because if you fly them right, you can basically keep the 2 Ks together and just swing back around for another attempt. And the first one tends to scare the heck out of the opponent. They're like, oh crap, I got to get, the one thing I don't like, and I understand it because you don't want to put this complexity into it, is the proximity mine template. It throws me back to my days of 40K, and I'm like, look, I've got like 2 ships in there. Can I not hit both ships? Like, nope, you can only hit 1 ship with your proximity mine. It's a template. Shouldn't I be able to hit both ships? So, but other than that, it's a fun, interesting list.
Yeah, and in particular with your penchant for sneaking an ion turret to mess people up. So,
I love those so much.
All right, so Jake, I want to ask you,
yes,
which one of these do you like best?
Man, you're trying to make me choose between our co-pilot and our protocol droid?
Yes, I am.
I think you prejudiced the jury by calling his Ugnaught something or other.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel like. Hang on one second. Hey, J-Bot, I'm just gonna switch off your brain there for a second. Okay, good. I'm gonna go with the Ugnaught list, just for the record. And now, hang on a second. I'm just gonna quickly turn J-Bot back on, and there we go.
Did anybody else black out for a moment there?
Yeah, we just had a little bit of turbulence. No problem.
Oh, okay.
Did you want to go in the Y or anything, or just?
I mean, it already has me by the name, and I like that the K-Wing. It's interesting because I'm not really a Rebel player or even a Scum player. I really just play the Imperials, but I don't know, something about the Ugnaughts. It's a character that I've seen in the other game that I've been playing, the Star Wars Galaxies of Heroes, and he's been someone I've been working on, getting ready for the next raid coming up. So
they're underappreciated.
I think that's exactly it. And so I feel a little bit, just from a sentimental standpoint, the underdog of that.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go Rebel, if I'm going to go,
nobody's favorite alien is the Ugnaught.
Right. If I'm going to go Rebel, I might as well go full-fledged underdog.
Yeah.
It makes me think of Dungeons and Dragons and one of those, like the gnome class, like whoever takes a gnome, but you don't put gnome in the next player's handbook. There's those people that are like, why did they leave out gnome?
Yeah, and just so you know, I did choose gnome as the class, so that was me.
I always wondered that in World of Warcraft. Whoever placed those guys? Why would you want to do that when you got dwarfs standing right next to you, looking awesome?
Yeah. I one time in EverQuest took a gnome warrior just because I could, because no one ever did it. And I remember being low level, and some super high level, gnome spellcaster came running by, and he was like, because they were called apparently gem cutters, is what they're in the story. So like, a gem cutter, what? And he ran halfway across the zone, buffed me with all these super high level buffs just because I was a gnome warrior, and he never saw him, and so.
Yeah, it's it's the element of surprise there. No one suspects the Ugnaught. And I don't know if any of you have ever watched Simpsons, but there's an episode where Bart Simpson is asked, if you get reincarnated, what would you come back as? And his answer is the butterfly. And his sister says, "What? Why would you come back as a butterfly?" And he looks to the side and goes, "Because nobody suspects the butterfly." And then he has a vision of himself as a butterfly, and he's burned down the entire school with gasoline. And the principal's like, "No, I swear it was the butterfly. It was the butterfly." And the cops think it's him, and they just take him away and they put him in jail. So it's the same principle here, basically.
Well, I'm a little torn because I would have to say that the Ugnaught list falls more into what I would normally play with my TIE bombers and ordnance. And, I actually only own one K-Wing, so I wouldn't be able to pull off either of these lists. Mm-hmm. But that almost makes me want to do the Dutch and the double Deuces because, I haven't really done K-Wings. I haven't really done bombs. There's a whole advanced slam. There's a whole new mechanic and kind of way to approach the game. So that while the Ugnaught one is, I really like the idea of the double Ugnaughts with the weapons lock, and I think if you do it where you kind of approach from different sides, and there's that one, like the one sacrificial ship that's in the front, and if you just try to blare past and like everyone's gonna come after me, zoom, you try to slam, just like I'm not gonna be there, and everyone else kind of comes in from the sides and grabs their target locks. I think you can be really clever and try to do a bunch of things, but
I'm sort of surprised with that. No one has taken the K-Wings to kind of heart because they do have more maneuverability than people think. And I'm actually curious. I want to play around with the new cards that come out that give barrel rolls and things like that to see what I can do with this list. Like I said, take the TLTs off of it and see what you can do with the Ks, giving them, because they don't really have. I'm pretty sure they don't have a K turn, which kind of sucks considering the name of the ship. But most of, I don't know if they have a red maneuver either. It's been at least a couple weeks. I don't think they have any red maneuver. So they're a nice, pretty clean ship that just has the slam as this ability to suddenly just leave somebody in the dust. And there's really no ship out there sort of short of like a TIE that's using an engine upgrade and boosting to keep up with you, that can keep up with you if you decide for a couple turns, what the heck with this, I'm getting the hell out of here and I'm just gonna burn the rockets and go 3K3 and just circle the map in 2 turns. I'm surprised no one's put that together. What? Maybe all I need is maneuverability and a lot of TLTs, and I can just I'm always at range 3. Good luck. Just you got a little close, I'm gone, and just take off again, sort of thing.
Well, there was that one guy who did well in tournaments. Not that we really get into the tournaments too much, but he did 3 of those K-Wings with tacticians, and he did really, really well and really kind of surprised everybody. And everyone's like, "Oh my god, I'd written off the K-Wing." And
Aaron Bonner's Danger Zone list.
Yeah, Danger Zone. I love it. Think of Archer, but excellent.
Danger Zone. Our way to the Danger Zone.
Foreshadowing there. Archer will come up later.
Yes.
I do want to give a special shout out to Kim Stiles from New Zealand, who just joined tonight and posted while we were recording. He posted a picture of an asteroid and a space station that kind of fit onto it, and there was a whole landing platform with some of his Caraxes. He posted that to the Facebook page. It looks pretty cool, and he said, and I said I love it because I love epic missions and I love Special Train. And he came back and said, thanks, Jim. Love the podcast. By the way, the R3 episode was classic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so, just also as a side note, I did post on the Facebook page, someone has put on Shapeway, they did little templates for 3D printing of all the train for Here's the Turi cluster. I looked at it. I'm only really interested in the space station, but if you did that, it all clicks together. You could paint it up. It would look awesome. And if you've got a 3D printer and you're interested in how to do some awesome terrain, look on the Facebook page. If anyone out there has a 3D printer and they just want to show us what it looks like by sending us a few,
Appreciate
I am more than happy to test them out for you on the air and give you full credit. So,
right.
All right.
Speaking of fans offering to give us stuff, someone did offer to pay your entry fee for flying an AI Heroes of the Turi cluster AI swarm in a tournament.
Oh, no way. No way.
He sounded pretty serious.
For J-Bot?
Awesome. I need somebody else to roll my dice though, because my dice are just abysmal.
Come on.
Did
I think you have to,
I don't want to let everybody down by my dice. I mean, maybe hey, y'all mind if I have a second? He's just going to roll dice. You're just keeping him here for fun, trying to get him into the game, that sort of thing.
Was it to the Gmail account?
No, I think it was through Reddit.
Jim, what was that Gmail email address, by the way?
The Shuttle Tydirium at gmail.com. I think it's
that might come into play later in the episode if anybody.
Shuttle.Tydirium. And if you don't know how to spell Tydirium, look at the podcast you listen to. It'll tell you on the screen. All right. Very cool. Very cool. That would be awesome. Though I think technically in tournaments, you're not allowed to have any extra notes or anything. So you actually wouldn't be allowed to bring the TIE Fighter chart technically to a tournament. But if
he has to commit it to memory.
Do I have to commit it to memory? Wait a minute. This is
you might get an
hour going along. Wait a minute. I can't bring notes, but I can bring my phone? What? This doesn't seem kosher somehow.
I know. Oh, and I think actually someone's taken the AI from Here's the Turi cluster and made it an app.
No, that's even better.
Yeah.
Let's just all make it easy. When y'all get it so that all I have to do is show up and point, then I'm in.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we've had 2 new news articles come out. And before we got cursed with having what was like 4 or 5 news articles come out one week after another.
Yeah, that's right.
We
had
like
4 shows, right?
Right. And we just kind of talked about news for like a month and a half. And we want to talk about the news stuff because we want to, bring that up. But we don't want the entire episode to be just about, the news articles. So we're going to try to talk about them, but not go too crazy with them. So, with that, do we want to do the Go Rogue came out first? Did it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one came out first,
so,
I believe.
I'm sure everyone is shocked to find out before the Rogue One new movie that comes out that FFG is actually releasing 2 products for ships that are from that particular movie set. The U-Wing and the TIE Striker. So I'm sure everyone is utterly surprised and caught unawares by that. But
I will say that some people were skeptical about them coming out as part of Wave 10, and I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, I seem to recall there being a discussion involved about there only being a handful of ships in Wave 10 for some weird reason.
Yeah, totally called it. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, the last time when the movies came out, they always just came out with so many like weird additions. And was that a wave, or was that part of this wave, or was it? Whatever.
We got it.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to start this by asking a question.
Sure.
Were these in episodes 4, 5, and 6 at any point? Did I ever? Maybe I missed them, but were either of these ships in those movies somewhere, or were they digitally added in at a later date, or are they going to be digitally added in the next?
Well, you never know
update?
with Lucas. If it was up to him, he would be adding stuff in all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I know this movie is kind of a set between the first trilogy and the original trilogy, and these ships look so new and shiny. I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, no, they're new. This TIE Striker would be imprinted in my brain forever had it been in the films.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool looking ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed because why didn't they just have TIE fighters? I mean, TIE fighters were good enough
because they want to have something new. I mean,
yeah, I know why, and Phil is right, but I do agree with your sentiment, which is that the time period would lend itself well to saying like, oh yeah, TIE fighters, that's the the most popular ship design. Maybe we're going to see like a special ops empire here, like those black stormtroopers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does feel like from the trailers, it does feel like this is more of an espionage linked kind of
more ground combat is what.
More like less spacey, more on the ground. And they even mentioned Fantasy Flight did that the Striker is more of an in atmosphere ship. So I do think that maybe is what we're seeing here is that hey, we're going to be on the ground. We can throw some new stuff out there. I don't particularly like the idea of throwing in brand new ships that we would have all remembered, sort of thing. But I understand it. They got to make money somehow. I mean, Lord knows,
merchandise.
They got to feed their kids.
Yeah. Do we want to go over the U-wing, or are we talking about the TIE Striker a bit? So maybe we should talk about the TIE Striker.
Yeah, let's start with the Striker.
So Jake, you're the chief engineer. Do you want to go ahead and read off some of the specs?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I do like this design. I think it's cool. I mean, I would like the TIE Fighter, but this is just a cool looking ship. It looks like you said, an airplane, a TIE Fighter, which is really neat. Very dangerous looking, like two scythes on either side. So this TIE Striker, it's got 3 attacks. It's got 2 evasion. It's got 4 hull points and then 0 shields, just like a normal TIE Fighter would. But the 4 hull points, that's a kind of a heftier version. And 3 attacks, that puts it up with a TIE Fighter. But a TIE Interceptor. But it is a little bit lower on evasion, which is kind of neat. Only 2 instead of 3.
It is kind of like the X-Wing.
Right.
Or even the Karax fighter, minus,
the shields.
Yeah, that one shield.
Right. So that is very interesting. Now we do see that there is a focus available to it, as well as a barrel roll and an evade for its actions. And I believe that you can do an elite pilot talent on these as well, or at least one of them.
Yeah, they're getting it.
Right.
No.
There's a PS1, a PS3, PS4, looks like a 5,
a 6,
and a 9.
5, 6. It could actually just be another 6. But no, it actually got a corner. I don't know. I gotta get
it has different art, but that's crazy. They put six of these in the set. Seems odd to me. Are all the singles this way? Because I don't seem to remember.
Some of them are like this.
Really?
Some of the other TIE, like I think the TIE Interceptor also had this sort of spread, like a whole bunch of pilots and only a few upgrade cards.
Yeah, that definitely is the way they're going here. Just a whole bunch of pilots and a couple upgrades.
You can't really do a lot of upgrades for it because it is kind of based on a TIE Fighter. And so, like, with a TIE Fighter, they gave you, like, a bunch of EPTs, but, like, what else, Like, they can't equip anything else, so... I do like the look of it. I do think it is a pretty neat-looking ship.
Yeah, it looks speedy and dangerous. I don't know how well it's going to hold up with only the 2 evade, but we'll see.
Right. And there's other people who say, like, oh, no TIE Fighter has 2 evade. I'm like, TIE Bomber.
Yeah.
Really early on.
Yeah.
TIE to come out.
One of the pilot skill 6 pilot is called Pure Sabak, I think, looking at that ship insert, the cardboard insert for the base.
Oh.
Oh, that doesn't seem right. No way.
Is there any possible way? Pure Sabacc. That's
the card game. Yeah,
I've heard of that card game. It's not regulation, and it's also forbidden to play on Imperial vessels. But I've heard about it.
And I'm not even sure. Was that just like an old school version of the game or something? Pure Sabacc.
Or he only plays it pure. I don't know. He doesn't play any Texas Hold'em style, one-armed chicken version. I'm not sure.
I definitely know that a pure Sabacc is not like the winning hand or anything. That can only be beaten by an idiot's array. I definitely know that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, that was on that Jeopardy show they had.
That's right. Yeah, never mind. I do remember that.
Yeah, that was the most boring in-flight TV show ever. I can't believe y'all sat the passengers through that.
Yeah. I do like the 3 attack, but I like that it's balanced out with the 2 evade. I think that it makes it interesting, kind of finds a place, within the TIE Fighter family, because it's not a TIE Interceptor, which, I'm totally fine with.
And it does seem pretty cheap. The Pilot Skill 8 pilot, Sterling Archer, is only 23 points.
So Duchess is
call sign Duchess.
A high one, but, yeah.
Danger zone!
If anyone has no idea what we're talking about, there's a Cartoon Network or Adult Swim cartoon called Archer, which is about a very inappropriate, not safe for work spy who's the world's best spy.
Like a James Bond, but like a complete D-bag, basically.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, too, I think.
It is. It's very funny if you're looking for something funny and you're not easily offended.
Yeah.
So... And I think someone else calculated that with that as an 18, using the standard TIE Fighter pricing structure, it comes out to be 17 points for the PS1. Which is pretty cool. That's neat. But I like it. I like the overall stats for it.
Yeah, and it's got this really interesting title card, too. So the Adaptive Ailerons card reads like this: TIE Striker only, title. Immediately before you reveal your dial, if you are not stressed, you must execute a white 1 bank or 1 straight maneuver.
Love it.
Crazy.
So awesome.
So you essentially have to boost before your actual maneuver.
And when I first read that, when it said because if they changed the article, it said you ignore your dial. And what I thought for a while, me being muddled on pain meds and all, trying to read in the back to tank, I thought it said that it replaces your maneuver.
Yeah, that's how it seemed to me at first too, for some reason.
Right.
I was like,
then
it's definitely not
stupid.
Yeah, I think that's why I read it so strangely the first time I looked at this article. I was like, that seems really weird as a card but it's very interesting. Let's put it that way. It would give me headaches as a maneuver person trying to remember that I was going to have to do that every turn.
Well, I think that all it really does is, even though it is forced, it adds so much variety to what you can do, and it makes it a lot harder for your opponent to guess, what you're doing and what your maneuver is, especially if you get to maneuver after them,
right.
Because you could really stack the deck that way. And
yes.
And there's even one of the pilots, I think, the elite pilot, says you don't have to honor the text of that card.
That's Sterling Archer's special ability.
Okay, right. Sterling Archer.
Right. The Duchess. And it's pretty cool. And it's like a boost, but it's actually a different mechanic, so it's not a boost. So you can't push the limit off it, which I like. I like that you can't do that, because I'm sick of push limit on everything. What were you going to say?
Also, the 2-turn is white on this, which is that's historically that's like the benchmark maneuver for whether you're going to be a good push the limit ship or not.
Right.
If your 2-turn is green, that's good for push the limit. If you have a
I'm
green
sorry, more
turn,
like, does the ship suck or is it awesome?
Yeah.
Not that because you have to use push the limit basically. But
right. All right.
I'm just getting aggressive at this point. So the 2 hard turn is white, and if the meta does get shifted away towards push the limit arc dodgers, these guys could actually be kind of an odd alternative, because they have to do the boost and then they get to do their regular old maneuver, their dial pick, and then they get to pick an actual, action. So it's almost like push the limit, but not really being push the limit.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what they're really going for here, is having a super maneuverable ship that doesn't need push to limit to be effective as a maneuverable ship.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they took this kind of as a second step after the illicit upgrade that we saw in the previous ones that does the damage with the stress or has the opportunity to do damage with stress.
Black market slicer tool.
Right. It makes me wonder if they said, you know what, we're probably going to need a ship in there that can still be really maneuverable without forcing the stress on itself. Which is I'm okay with, because that's the way the ship is built. I'm less okay with let me tack on all these crazy upgrades and things and stress, and then remove stress to, in a sense, play the rule game to get the same maneuverability.
Yeah, and it'll never really fill the same role as a TIE interceptor with push to limit and auto thrusters, because it can't take auto thrusters, and it only has 2 agility, right? So this is as a super maneuverable ship, it's also at the same time very vulnerable to turrets.
Yeah, I will. I know I rail against 0-point upgrades. I don't mind this one, because to me it actually has a negative side as well. Because you're being forced to do that maneuver. It's not a hey, if you want to, you can do essentially a boost at the beginning of your turn before you move. It is a you must do this. You know, if you don't take this into account, it can really hose you pretty quickly. So
right.
That
and
I don't
want to
mind
say, it's not so much you're weak against turrets. It's just you're a normal ship against turrets.
Right. But I mean, if you're trying to make your bread by being an arc dodger.
Yeah. And I like that. And I like that it gives you arc dodging and stuff without it being too freaking powerful.
Right.
And they have a little chart where it shows all the some of the maneuvers you can do, which are pretty cool. And I have to say, I was trying to come up with all the different, you bank one way, but then turn the other, or even bank the other, and all sorts of crazy things. But I also thought about, you could even then do a K-turn. So if you're facing somewhere, oh yeah, he's going to do a K-turn. But here you go. You bank one direction to the side, and then do a flipping K-turn. And it's a completely different spot that you end up.
It's got a Segner's loop, too.
Segner's loop, too.
Yeah.
Oh, it has got a Segner's loop. Holy cow, that's right. So you can do, you can do a lot of crazy things. The bank one way, Segner's loop the other way, or, the amount of weirdness that you can get to is going to be pretty crazy cool. And I really like that. I like, that possibility. I think this is going to be a really agile ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Cool.
So what was the other ship that came out in this one?
Jake?
The other ship, the U-Wing, the U-Wing.
Buck Rogers ship.
The U-Wing, yes. Who shot him?
All right, so the U-Wing is a rebellion ship. We see it in the trailer of Rogue One, and we know that it's got some interesting wings that can fold and unfold. It kind of reminds me of the cockpit of a Y-Wing with 2 very slender, dragonfly wings, and also the engine, or at least the turbines of an X-Wing. It's a kind of a neat-looking conglomerate of ships there.
Those wings fold in at all, on the figure, or are they supposed to? Or they always stuck out like that?
That's very cool, because when I first saw it, I didn't see the wings out, and then I saw one of those snuck out articles, and it showed these giant, massive fins, and I was like, "What the heck?" But it actually has fins that are detached and attachable. So if you look at the packaging of the article, it shows it without it. But then when you look at it down below, it's actually got the giant freaking fins.
Neat. So that's pretty cool.
You can actually choose whether to slide them in or not. There's actually a card for that. Phil, do you want to go over the card?
Yeah, so...
do you want me to just get the stats out first, or go over the card?
Just do that.
Okay, so I'll quickly just run through the stats, which is that it's a vehicle with 3 attacks, only 1 evade, but then it has a very hefty 4 hull with 4 shields. So that's a pretty heavy ship. It does more and more remind me of that Y-Wing. It's got a focus and a target lock, and then it has a whole bunch of different upgrades. You can have 2 crew upgrades. It looks like a torpedo upgrade, the EPT, the Elite Pilot Talent, and then also the sensor array upgrade. Is that right? The sensor?
Systems.
Systems, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, good. That's what I had to say. All right, go for it, Phil.
All right, so the signature title card here is called Pivot Wing. It's it's U-wing only, and it's a dual card, so it's got text on both sides. The first side is Pivot Wing Attack, and this reads: increase your agility value by 1. After you execute a maneuver, you may flip this card over. So essentially, we should be treating this like a agility 2 ship, if it wants to be.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you could just leave this face up the whole time.
Yeah.
And it would just be an agility 2 ship.
Well, until you play with myself or J-Bot, we accidentally knock it out because we're so clumsy.
But we end up breaking the thing.
Yeah. The other side of the card is called Pivot Wing Landing. It reads: when you reveal a 0 stop maneuver, you may rotate your ship 180 degrees. After you execute a maneuver, you may flip this card over. So this is pretty cool. So it's almost as if your stop maneuver can become like a K-turn. You flip around.
Yeah. But you lose the agility for that turn, and you probably become pretty predictable.
Yeah, but it's only for that one turn. Oh, I guess for the next turn as well. Because
it's pretty much only one turn.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're using it right, it's the whole. You've gotten yourself in the right position before you do it anyway. At least you hope.
Yeah. Then again, you could sucker them out, and people think you're going to do a one hard stop and a turn, and then you can get the heck out of there.
You could bait people with this card. It's true.
I don't know about you guys, and I may be the only one that thinks about this. But does this not just seem like it opens the way for a very iconic, classic card or system for the X-wing? Lock X foils in attack position /
why would they ever do that? I mean,
well,
they'd have to re-release every figure.
Exactly. Maybe they'd sell more models.
That would make sense if they had done that maybe with X-wings from the new movie. Where they can close and open them. But considering how many of them I've seen broken when they're supposedly fixed now, it's I think having them be able to move might be really bad.
Oh, true, of course. But I think the card upgrade I could totally see with something. I don't know if it would be the same function as this, because these obviously are two very different ships with different things. But I remember that Phil's card league, custom card league, there was a couple of them that were S foils in attack position, right? Like there were
some S-foil cards. Yeah.
Submissions, yeah.
There's people wanting to fix the X-wing, and they just give them an S-foil card, and that way they don't have to do anything and just boost it, and all these sorts of crazy rules.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just my random thought of the day.
No, I agree, though. It's definitely there. If they can do it with this, it's on the table as an option, in my eyes.
This is a brand new rule system, basically. This is an incredibly unique ship. Long gone are the days where every ship just had a maneuver dial. Now, ships have got maneuver dials. They've got the, Kylo Ren can, destroy your ship with a new complete rule book ability and, whatnot.
Yeah. Each ship in this wave has a signature title, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like each one of them does have a very specific additional rules type title.
Does the
Pivot Wing is a title? The TIE Striker has the adaptive ailerons, which is actually, so we didn't cover that, but the adaptive ailerons is the one where it adds the free boost for 0 points, but you have to do it. You don't actually have to take that title, so you can go without that ability or without that title.
But it is a unique title just for that ship. So
right,
and I seem to recall all the other ones have it as well.
I think the only. Well, it's something that they're just doing a lot more these days. Not every ship in this wave has one. Like the quad jumper doesn't seem to have a signature title that makes it unique, and maybe the Upsilon class shuttle won't either. But it's something we've started to see more. Like the ARC 170 had one of these, an auto include title. TIE SF had an auto include title.
Right.
I kind of like it because I think it means they can add other titles out that might, I don't know, fix the X-wing or something. Sure. But it's not going to somehow break the U-wing or
no, yeah.
whatever. But I will say that this is actually a transport ship. So it is actually a large base ship, and a lot of people were surprised that this would be considered a large base ship. But I think with those big freaking wings on the side, the fins, that it fits the bill. But I'm thinking that the Rebels just got another transport option besides the Hawk.
Yeah.
So
it's
they
definitely,
didn't have
a possible support ship type deal.
Yeah, so the Rebels only had the Hawk to travel around in. Anytime you had to pick up slicers or something out in the Turi cluster, they were in a Hawk. And
they had
anytime you wanted to ship anyone.
too.
True, those are transport, etc. But now you have a dedicated Uber vehicle for the Rebels. Do we want to go into
that far? I can't put an ion turret on it.
Yeah. Do we want to go into the two crew?
Yeah, so they revealed two crew here. One
J-Bot,
is
you want to do one?
No, y'all are doing pretty good. I have to try and find the click here.
All right, Phil,
I'm looking at the pictures. All I care about is the pictures. Come on, guys. Why would I read?
All right, Phil, you go.
Sure. The first one I'm seeing is Jyn Erso, and she reads Rebel only. Action: choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 2. Assign one focus to that ship for each enemy ship inside your firing arc at range 1 to 3. You cannot assign more than 3 tokens in this way.
This card actually comes with its own little rule book.
Right. Right. So it can affect the ship that Jyn Erso is in.
Right.
And it's range 1 or 2, but any ship... So once again, ships in your firing arc. So I like this whole mechanic where it's going to try to bring back jousting by having all these things that happen inside your firing arc. So I really like this. I think this is pretty cool. So...
Yeah, no, it is definitely a cool card. I like it. It's an interesting support ability. You can hand out a ton of focus tokens.
Yeah. Does anyone come to mind on who on the Rebel side could actually use something like 3 focus tokens a turn? I'm thinking Biggs.
Yeah, Biggs might like it.
Like Biggs, he can do the plus agility ship, and then you can do the boom, give him 3 freaking focus tokens to sit on.
I might be thinking way out of turn here, but if you combine, it's a 2 crew ship, correct?
Yeah.
Can I not put Jan Ors on the same ship?
Sure.
Yeah.
And essentially, I'm going to give Biggs a bunch of evade tokens.
Yeah, you could token stack on him.
Yeah, and make it just have fun trying to hit that ship because it's the only one you're going to get a shot at for a while.
Right.
You could definitely do that.
Even longer. Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. I like it's limited range 1 or 2, so it's not range 3. But anyone inside your firing arc up to range 3. So I think that is pretty cool. You can do a lot with it. I think it's a pretty neat card. And it's how many points?
2.
2 points. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a fun little card. Could be cool to play with.
And the other ship can be stressed. You can just dump them the tokens. It's not like a free action, so you could they could be all stressed out the wazoo, and you go ahead and drop it on them.
Or they could bump or whatever.
Yeah, that might be good for Heroes of the Turi cluster as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Jake, do you want to go with the other one?
The other last one.
Crew?
I'm trying to read it. Oh wait, is it actually one of the? Is it Cassandra? I'm sorry, Cassian. I called him Cassandra.
He didn't like Cassandra.
Yes. All right. So it's I'm gonna pronounce it wrong probably, but Cassian Andor, perhaps, who is a crew, and at the end of the planning phase, you may choose an enemy ship at range 1 to 2. Guess aloud that ship's bearing and speed, then look at its dial. If you're correct, you may rotate your dial to another maneuver. So it's basically, a spy. He's an espionage agent. If you correctly guess the opponent's dial, you get to change yours completely.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful card. especially because you can rotate your dial after you look at someone else's.
What?
Correct.
Can you remind me again? You guys know this probably better than I do. What was C-3PO's card ability?
His is if you are rolling green die, you guess how many green dice you're going to get, and if you're right, you add a die. So basically, if you have like a 1 agility ship, you guess, I'm going to get 0, and if you roll 0, you get 1, and if you roll 1, you just stick with 1. So it's a way to always get 1.
Yeah, it reminds me of that in that it's kind of quirky. It's also it could completely be a gamble. I mean, I'm trying to imagine how many times I could 100% accurately guess not only the bearing but the speed too of the maneuver. And I feel like you have to be really in tune to the other player's dials as well. Yeah. I think this card for me personally, I would not be able to use. Just I'm not that good.
I couldn't see myself using it either because it's also range limited. So you have to be at range 1 to 2 of the ship you're guessing. So you're going to, okay, well, there's one ship I can guess at. You know, I guess I gotta assume that I know what he's going to do and make the choice. And it seems expensive. I hate
range
to say
1 to 2, it's pretty big though.
To a point, yeah, but still, I mean, if your opponent knows where you're going to be, and you're like, okay, well, he's probably going to assume I'm going. At least me, I fly crazy. Maybe figure this out yet. So guessing mine tends to be relatively difficult because sometimes I'm like, the hell with stress. I'll just stay right here and do whatever I can, and sometimes I don't. So I don't know that it's a neat ability. I like the ability. I just don't know that I'd use it very much or be good at it.
Thinking about it, and the ability of even if you guessed it right, what you get for it is kind of odd to me. So to me, this really says it's for high-level play, for those players that really get into the game, that really know all the different ships and know the strategy and they're planning ahead, and that basically comes down to when you've got another ship and you're like, he's either going to do the one hard turn or he's going to do like the 4 to get out of there. And you've got to pick a move that's going to be based on one of those 2 moves. You know he's going to do like one of those 2. Like, those are the classic ones. And so, you know, in this situation, you know, the high dollar, that one ship, and you basically set your maneuver for one of them and you guess the other. And if he does the other one, you can change your maneuver to compensate. Mm-hmm. You know, for where it's going to be. And that pretty much is like the only thing that this card does. So it can be really powerful in the right spot. But
well, actually, I mean, now that we're reading into it a little bit more, I'm starting to see that there are a couple things I'm noticing. A, this is a crew card that actually is a passive ability. You do not have to use an action to use it. It's at the end of every planning phase. You automatically get this. So now, if you really are that good where you just able to guess every single time at range 1 to 2, not only might it make spook some of your opponents into A, not getting that close, or B, it might make them just do completely random maneuvers because they really don't want you to guess what they're going to do.
Right.
Which it's almost like a let me convolute your plans kind of a card.
Right. This is why I actually really love this card. It's because it's a psychological weapon against the enemy.
Which is perfect for an espionage agent when you think about it.
Yeah, they can't program the safe maneuvers because if their dial gets flipped, you're going to be able to see what they did.
Well, but here's the thing, though. It's like if you're going to guess what they're going to do. So you've got to guess. And everybody puts their dials down. Right at that point then is when you find out whether you get to change your dial or not. So it's like you just made a decision and then you can change it. It's not like later on in the turn after people have moved. It's like right away you get to change your dial. And it's just kind of
yeah, for me it's like I'm kind of on Jim's side here. If I'm able to guess your dial, then I've probably already guessed your dial and planned my maneuver accordingly.
Okay.
And if I can't guess your dial, then I'm just throwing a dart hoping that I get it right so that I can adjust now that I've seen it. Isn't the range 1 to 2 the exact same thing as the other card? The only difference this one has is it lets you actually make an adjustment to your dial.
Even if you're wrong, you get to see someone else's dial.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. Because you could just guess wrong on purpose because you have no idea and you really just want to flip that over and see.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. It doesn't say the opponent has to show it to you. They just have to confirm or deny whether they got it right.
No, then
it
you
says
look
you have to look at it.
You look at the dial. So guess allow the ship's bearing and speed, then you look at the dial. So you actually get to pick up your opponent's dial and look at it.
A little bit there.
Okay. So I guess you do get to look at the dial to know what it is. But then to me, it basically comes down to if you're not sure which of these 2 or possibly 3 maneuvers that they're going to do, and you're planning for one, but you're doing the situation to set up. And there will be times at high-level play or when you're really in the mind game with someone and you're really doing the end game duel and everything, that's going to be pretty potent. But it's only really going to be those situations that I see. And I guess you could. And a lot of people, like J-Bot was getting at, was intelligence agents. So this guy costs 2 points. Intelligence agent costs 1 point, and it's range 1 or 2. At that point, you can just pick up and look at somebody's dial. You can't change anything, but you can look at their dial, and it's only 1 point. So some people were saying, this new guy, he's way too expensive for what you get. He sucks. He's terrible. Other people are saying, oh, my God, he's really powerful. The other guy only lets you look. You can change it. And I'm kind of on the fence that I think he's appropriately priced. I think he's very situational.
I think you might be underestimating him. So let's imagine you're playing a typical competitive list, Palp Aces, and you've got this guy on like a YT 2400. You get to look at like Suntir Fell's dial, and he's only got, let's say he's doing his typical Suntir Fell thing. He's gotten stressed. He's going to plot a green maneuver.
2 hard turn.
Exactly. It's almost always 2 hard turn, first of all. So he's going to be paranoid about putting that 2 hard turn in. So he's, first of all, if he's avoiding that 2 hard turn, he's handicapping himself. If he's doing something else and you guess what it is, with a dial replot and a barrel roll on a YT 2400, which has a great dial, you have a really good chance of setting yourself up to block him. And a blocked Suntir Fell is a very soon to be dead Suntir Fell.
You got to have somebody buy into the hype of it all. Because if you basically got your guy who's going to do your Suntir Fell, who's going to do the 2 green turn anyways, and if he just goes, well, that's what I'm going to do because that's the move that I do, and that's what Suntir does. Boom, 2 hard turn. You either guess it or you don't. You can expect it or not. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm still going to be able to, flip and dance, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It's like it could potentially get in their head, or they could just ignore it and do what they do anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not bad. I don't think it's a terrible card. I just think it's very situational, and I don't think I'll really use it much.
Yeah, it certainly won't be in my list anyway. I mean, to me, I don't see the point of it. I mean, I know, hey, I can see that guy's dial, but I go back on if I know the guy's going to do a 2 hard turn, I've already decided what I'm going to do to combat his 2 hard turn because I know where he's going to be.
If you think he's going to do that or something else, and you plan for something else, and then it ends up being, and you guess the other thing that you haven't planned for, then you have the option to adjust your plans for what he actually did.
And, I'll say, Phil, you've actually since convinced me. First reading this card, I was like, definitely not. I'm not good enough for it. But I actually don't have to be good enough for it. Just the whole psychological warfare thing of it. Even if they don't buy into it, right? It's still enough that I get to look at their dial every single turn. That's not too shabby. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
True. But you can do the same thing for 1 point less.
Yeah, you can really handicap some of these ships that take these safe maneuvers. Like all I have to do to make someone think twice about what they're putting on Suntir Fell's dial is, ask them if they're putting that 2 hard turn in as I tap this card, Cash and Andor. I mean, it's gonna affect how people think about what they plot.
I'd be interested to try it. I don't think I'd be good at it, but I'd be interested to try it.
I think I'd be good at it, but I just don't think it'll necessarily do too much. I'd probably try it. But all right, so any other final thoughts on that particular card? Okay, I just kind of want to sum up the U-Wing overall. I think it's a neat ship. It's a large base ship. I like the torpedo aspect of it just because I like torpedoes. Throw one on there. Why not?
One torpedo. Damn it. Why is there only one?
Right, you can't do extra munitions.
Come on,
But you got
guys.
2 crew, which is pretty cool, and you got the system slot. So, you can do a lot of neat things with it. And I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a passenger, it's a carrier. So you get another, plot-wise, you get a dedicated ship that's there to move rebels around and even like drop them in a hot zone kind of a thing.
Right.
And I think just for making missions, for making plots, here's the Terry cluster type of a thing, it's cool to be able to have a ship like that.
Right. This has a lot of legs when it comes to scenarios.
Okay. And so I do like that. They do actually have one pilot that I had to go to the to the list builder for the people with the microscope that were able to read it. Do you guys have that in front of you, or do you want me to go ahead and read it real fast?
Go ahead.
So Cassian Andor, which I guess is that same guy, that same scruffy looking nerf herder, on the crew card, you get to look at stuff. And basically he sees a pilot skill 6, he gets an elite, and at the start of the activation phase, so after you look at dials, you may remove 1 stress token from one other friendly ship at range 1 or 2. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a better wingman, I think, or just a different wingman. There's the wingman upgrade card lets you remove stress at the beginning of the combat phase. This lets you do it at the beginning of the activation phase, so maybe it's helps you do unexpected maneuvers. If you have a ship that has a stress token, it opens up the dial a lot more.
So he could maybe so the activations when you're moving and all, let's say it's someone who goes after him, he's stressed, you can actually pick a K turn for the guy, and then suddenly Cassie comes up, whoop, removes that stress, he can do that K turn.
Yeah, and his ability happens at the start of the activation phase, not his activation.
Oh, okay, start of the activation.
So
That's
even
right.
if your pilot skill 1, he can still help you.
Yeah, and it could be that if you're stressed from somebody else before, like, I don't know, maybe you raged, and then you did a 1 green maneuver, and you've got that 1 stress left over, boom, start of the phase, you get that stress removed, and now maybe rage or something like that's not such a bad card. In fact, you could do it again if you wanted to.
Yeah. It's an interesting ability.
Yeah. I kind of like it. I don't think it's like game breaking. It's
not super ability, but
it's not an action, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. All right. So I think we're actually coming a bit close to Endor. I don't think we actually have time because we did go over these 2 ships for a bit, and I don't want to spend super long talking about the news. We will have to do the garbage will do. The garbage will do next week, but we do have a bit of news, do we not? There, J-Bot.
Yeah, I may have mentioned this on the Facebook page. A mysterious piece of luggage was left on the ship, and in these trying times, with all of these people about trying to destroy our glorious empire, it had to be confiscated by security and scanned and sent through all sorts of tests and explosive devices used upon it. So the contents of said suitcase mostly didn't survive, but a few things did. And since no one came to claim them, I think it's a good idea if we maybe give some of these things out to the maybe a listener who might be interested in actually having these. Jim, what exactly was it that we found in our suitcase here? Because it looks a little weird to me.
Yes, I'm actually very happy to talk about it. So it is something from Broken Token. And Broken Token is a company that creates a whole bunch of different storage systems and ways you can actually hold things for various different games, from board games, a whole bunch of different things. And I actually bought one of these, and I was really happy with it. So it's called the Mini American Card Case. And it is I don't know, it was a balsa or some. They use a laser cutter, and they cut that really lightweight wood with these notches where you can stick them all together and various things where you store cards. So it's a rectangle box with 2 side-by-side rows where you can fit the upgrade cards, not the pilot cards and such, but your small upgrade cards. So your EPTs, your astromechs, your system slots, turrets, all those various things. And it comes with these little tabs where you can slide them in so you can actually separate these. And I use this and I love it. And if you use no card sleeves, it says it can hold 700 cards. And if you use card sleeves, 400. And I've got quite a bit, and I was actually able to fit them all in, but I had to remove their wooden separators. And there's the guy, Sir Willis, who does the tuck boxes where you print them out. He has one of these you can print out and try to do it, but it looks a bit complicated. But one of the things he has is actually separators. You can print out paper separators to put and make them taller than the cards themselves. And that's what I did. So I can fit all my upgrades in this one box. And it fits nice in the top of a Plano 1374 with lots of extra room. It holds, all my upgrade cards in sleeves. I'm very, very pleased with it. I really like this thing. In fact, I'm a little chagrined that he's actually giving it away.
Yeah, so I have conferred with our, venerable crew here, and one of the ideas that I came up with and everybody thought was funny, and we've actually kicked this around ourselves when not being recorded. What I'd like to do is have people who are listening, not on Facebook, you're welcome to post it on Facebook, but I'd really love for you guys to send it to our email address that Jim has mentioned earlier in the show. That was the.shuttle. Was it .Tydirium?
Yep.
.Tydirium at Gmail.
Yep.
I want 4 pilot cards, 1 for each of us. So 1 for our pilot Jim, our co-pilot Phil, our handy engineer Jake, and of course yours truly. I want a full set as if we had just come out with a Shuttle Tydirium boxed ship for the X-Wing game. Make them funny, make them cool and interesting, however you want to do it. I haven't asked this of the crew, but I'd say we give them a couple weeks, and we will obviously have fun, hopefully, reading the ones that people send in, and the lucky winner will choose, and we'll probably read those on the air, so don't be afraid to put some funny things in there. No curse words, obviously, because there might be a few there. But I'd like to see a full set of 4 and see what the really creative community out there can come up with, and the winner of that will send one of these nice pretty little boxes that it does not come assembled. Trust me, you probably don't want to have Jim put it together. I watched him put his together. It is
you
not
do have to pay attention when you put it together.
You need to follow the instructions.
Have to mark them, make notes.
Yeah,
I was trying to, and I still messed it up. I had to take it apart.
Yeah, but just to add on to Jim, I actually am familiar with the broken token stuff. I've met some of the guys in real life at the conventions and things. I love the stuff. I know as much as I rail against storage, it seems kind of funny, but I actually do really like their products. I have a few of their things here for other board games, for sorting, for storage, for just maneuverability. So it's really awesome that they gave us this to give away to you guys. So hopefully we'll get lots and lots of entries, or maybe for one of you, you're hoping no one will enter except for you. So that's what I do when I enter contests, is I hope I'm the only one. Hopefully only I'll enter this contest and I'll win. That's always what.
We will put a link to the product in the notes so you can see it and some pictures. They're awesome. I'm very pleased with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So please, once again, send your entries for pilot cards to the.shuttle.tydirium@gmail.com over the next couple weeks. And we will decide a winner, I guess, in 2 episodes' time, let's say. And
do they have to be graphics?
No graphic. I mean, you can put graphics in there; they're welcome. But I am not an artist. I cannot draw to save my life, so I hate to force somebody to try and Photoshop something. Although, if they're funny graphics, they might get extra points. Funny graphics always, are fun. So, but no, they're not required. At least I'm not requiring. Our crew here is so hardline and so, detail oriented that they might require them. But your friendly neighborhood J-Bot, you don't have to go to all that trouble.
All right, so J-Bot's giveaway. JBot's extra storage giveaway.
That's right. You never have too much storage, even though, yes, you can. Because we all know the reason we play this game is for the storage. I mean, that's the only reason any of us do this.
We just want cool storage. Excellent, excellent. All right. So, have you been able to even see a picture of it, Phil and Jake?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of it? I mean, you've just kind of seen it, but
no, it seems like one of the problems I always have is organizing my upgrade cards, and it seems like a good way to. I think the box works well for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This, I mean, I'm incredibly envious of those who have it. I don't have it, and I want it, and it looks awesome, and it could definitely help to organize those. I don't even know how many cards I have now, but it's a pain in the butt to sort through them all, so this would definitely help with that.
Yeah, and I printed out the bookmarks, so it's got EPTs, 0-point EPTs, 1-point EPTs, and you can sort them all within that section. Like,
he's got more bookmarks in it than he does actual cards.
No. Trust me, I don't. There's even like crew cards, rebel-only crew cards. You could sort it all in, and it's very cool. And I don't like binders, because I did binders with Magic the Gathering. I was like, oh, I get some new cards. Oh, crap. They've got to be, alphabetically organized or some sort of system organized. I've got to take them all out, put them more in, shuffle them around, and it's just your whole binder system goes out of whack for, how long does it take? Now, some people actually like to organize, and they actually enjoy that aspect. Not me. I hate it. And so I do not do binders. I'm not a binder person. And this is an alternative to binders that I think is superior. So I like it. Excellent. All right. So with that, we've covered some news. We've gone over some B teams. And we've talked about JBot's storage giveaway. I think that about covers us for the night.
Yeah.
I will say thanks very much for having me back. I am so glad to be out of the back of the tank. I'm still on some various, sci-fi meds, a little, So correct my steering there, Phil. I might be going into the other lane, but excellent. Hopefully they'll be getting some. I'm going to try to get some Here's the Tree cluster at least played at the house, because I won't be able to drive to get to the game store. So excellent. All right, guys. Any last words?
Nope.
Nope. Just put in better options than these guys, because these guys are horrible at it. So just give me some funny ones and brighten my day.
All right. I guess we can end it with the final words. May the Schwartz be with you. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.
Good night.